All right, hello and welcome to our first video of the geometry sequence. Today we're going to be talking about points, lines, and planes. So we're just going to have a lot of definitions here. Really the important thing to get down in your notes is just a picture of each definition and then how are we going to name it. So first we have a point. And a point has no dimension. It's just going to be represented by a dot. This is probably something that you're already familiar with. All right, so here we have point A. Notice that it's just a dot with a capital letter above it. So we name points with capital letters there. All right, so point A, again, capital letters. And next we have a line. So now a line has one dimension. So you can see we have a line drawn down here, and then we have arrows extending in both directions. It goes on forever, infinitely in both directions. And through any 2 points, we have exactly one line, right? Through A and B, I can only draw one line between them. You're not allowed to just curve it and draw it like this or this, right? Those are not lines. Lines, by definition, have to be straight. All right, so we have a picture of a line down here. Again, this is probably what you want to copy down, is just this picture of the line. And then how are we going to name it? There's a few different ways. We can name it using a lowercase letter. Here I have a cursive L. Okay, so we have a lowercase letter. Or you could call it line AB. You could call it by any 2 points that fall on that line. So line AB, which is the same thing as writing AB, with a line and arrows over the top. Make sure you include those arrows. We will see tomorrow that if you don't include those arrows, it's going to be a segment. And if you don't even include a line above it, well, then it talks about the length of a line segment, which we'll get into more in the next lesson. So you could call it line AB or line BA, again, with the line over the top of BA, if you don't write out line specifically in front of it. Next, our next definition, we have a plane. So now a plane is a two-dimensional figure, and it extends without ends. So it extends in every single one of these directions. Imagine something like the ceiling, but where it would meet the wall, it just extends on forever. So it extends in every single one of these directions. It's a flat surface. Imagine a tabletop that just goes forever and ever instead of ending. Okay, and through any 3 points that are not on the same line, there exists exactly one plane. All right, so here I have a plane drawn. You don't need to put all of those arrows there. A lot of times it's just going to look like a parallelogram. If you don't know what a parallelogram looks like, well, it's what I drew right here. So a lot of times these are what our planes are going to look like. And then different ways that we can name this. We could just call it plane M. Okay, there's a large capital M written on there, and there's no point next to it. So we know it's not a point. That's just the name of the plane. And then A, B, and C are 3 points on there, so we could also call it plane ABC, or by the name of any 3 points that fall on that plane. Collinear points, okay, 2 more definitions here. We have collinear points. These are just points that lie on the same line. So in this case, let's say I have a line here. Here's A and B. Obviously, A and B are collinear. Say that I have C right here. Well, A, B, and C are not collinear. They're going to be non-collinear. Okay, because they don't all fall on the same line. C obviously does not fall on that line. And same thing with coplanar points. Okay, coplanar points, they just lie on the same plane. So let's say I have a plane drawn right here. Just imagine it like a flat table that extends forever. It doesn't have any width, but it extends forever. And then say that you just have like a ball or something hovering right above that table. Okay, so imagine that this is sitting above that plane. well, then that's not going to be coplanar. Okay, that is going to be non-coplanar compared to, let's say, these other 3 dots are all on the plane. Again, it's going to get a little bit tricky with planes. It's hard to kind of envision what they look like, but we'll talk more kind of about it and how to picture it. Think of it as like a flat piece of paper that just goes on forever and ever. All right. And the last thing we're going to really talk about here is the intersection. Okay, an intersection of any figures is just the set of points that they have in common. So up here you can see I drew 2 lines. They cross over at exactly 1 point. So if we have an intersection of 2 different lines, it's just going to be 1 point as long as they do intersect. So 2 lines intersect at 1 point. Here we could say line M and line M intersect at point O. And then say we draw 2 planes. Now this is where it's going to look a little confusing. It's like, wow, what am I looking at here? Why are there dashed lines? Okay, these are things that we cannot see. So say that we held 2 pieces of paper and we kind of shoved one inside of the other. Well, that's going to be their intersection, right? If we were looking at it, we can't see these dashed lines. Okay, so these are, yeah, they exist, right? They exist. It's just not in our vision. If we're looking at it from one side, it's not possible for us to see those 2 pieces of that paper or of that plane. So here we kind of have imagine one paper going straight up in the air and then another piece of paper slicing right through the center of it. That's what we have right here. And we see that 2 planes are going to intersect at 1 line. Another way of doing this is think of 2 planes that you can see right now. Take a look at a wall and then take a look at the ceiling. Those are 2 separate planes. And where do they intersect? Well, they intersect right at that kind of edge, right? As we go along the ceiling and the wall. That's that line where the 2 intersect. So 2 planes intersect at a line. So I know this was a lot of definitions coming at you guys. We are going to have a lot of definitions in the first chapter. Just make sure you get down some good notes. Make sure that you know exactly what it looks like and how we are going to name each of the different types of figures, such as points, lines, and planes.